Hello and welcome to another episode on Journey to Authenticity, a podcast helping you to become fully authentic on your journey to success. I'm your host, Braiden Belknap, and I'm a human just like you, striving to build my dream life, all while I stay true to myself. But what if you've gone through a difficult situation where you lost yourself? What if you found yourself living standards that you didn't want to stand by? What if you were going against yourself? That's exactly why we have Mikesell Clegg coming to the podcast today, as she's gone through a difficult situation where she did lose herself. From there, going on an adventure with the intention of finding herself, and she did just that. And since then, she's been thriving in business, relationships, herself. Welcome to the show, Mikesell.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to make this happen. And even though this is the first time meeting, I feel like I've known you for a while.
You do have a really good soul. You're easy to talk to. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So jumping right into it, what inspired you to become a massage therapist and get into coaching?
I was actually running for Utah Valley University College cross country and track, and I was headed to go be an athletic trainer, but I was in school one day and just got a really strong feeling that I needed to go to massage therapy school. And it was so strong that I went and toured a massage therapy school the next day. And before tuition was due, it was Wednesday, and I toured the school on Thursday. And I felt so good about it that on Friday, just before tuition was due, I dropped out of my semester of college and I switched to massage therapy school. And so I started massage therapy school, did that, fell in love with it. And then throughout all my years of being a massage therapist, I've loved how much the mind and the body are connected. And so that's what's helped me want to be a coach and be able to really help someone heal fully. So that's what kind of got me into massage therapy and coaching, which I love.
Beautiful. So you mentioned you had a strong, what was the words you used? Feeling, calling?
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah. Impression or.
What was that like? Walk us through that.
I remember I actually was sitting in my anatomy and physiology class, and the teacher was teaching, and I just felt so uncomfortable there. There was just something inside of me that was like, you're not in the right spot. And so I called my dad and I had told him, like, I think I'm doing the wrong thing. And he had said, like, isn't your tuition due on Friday? And I said, yeah. And he just kind of told me to, like, buck up and be tough. Like, he was like, you're in a semester of school. You need to, like, follow through what you started. And so I finished. And then I remember I knelt down and I prayed and just felt like I was doing the wrong thing, but I needed help to know what else I should do. And I don't have impressions like this very often, but I just got, like, clear as day, go to massage therapy school, which I had never wanted to be a massage therapist. That was like not on the radar at all. So that was kind of random, but it was clear enough that I just followed through with it. And I thought all my friends probably were convinced I was going through a quarter life crisis of like, why did I just switch and alter my life? Like, I was running all these things and I just totally switched, but I just felt good about it. And it's honestly been the right decision ever since then, which has been pretty awesome. So I'm glad I followed through.
Those moments are life-changing.
Yeah.
And I say we all have our timelines made up in our head of, I got to be married by this time and have a kid at this time and maybe a second or a third by this year and a house and this. And sometimes we just got to let things go.
Yeah, so
just
true.
Follow.
Yeah, that's been, I've done a lot of things that are like culturally different. I would say I'm 29, not married, and for my faith, that's a little bit more unusual in things. And so, but I've loved everything that's not been inside of the box. It's taught me how good life can really be open-minded and how much you can learn and grow by just really living like your own life and doing things that feel really good to your soul. So I've actually really loved the course of my life thus far, even if it's not been traditional. So,
well, why do we need to follow the tradition, right? The tradition is you need to be this way, you need to do this, and you need to be married in Utah by 20. It seems like, and you need to have kids by 21, and that's just not real.
Yeah.
It causes weights and shoulders and stress and overwhelm. From there is as we know, stress and anxiety is not
Mhm.
good for the human body,
Yeah.
making us think unusual thoughts,
Mhm. Yep.
causing us to become who we don't want to be.
It's so true. I actually remember I was at a conference, I think it was about a year ago, and I remember the teacher saying, if you don't live your own life, you may run the risk of never being able to find out who you really are. And that struck me actually pretty strong. And I just made a little promise to myself that no matter what was culturally acceptable or, whatever was just identified as normal or what you should or shouldn't do, I wanted to make sure that I was just in line with what felt good to me, because then I maybe would run the risk of never finding out who I really am and what I was really capable of and what like my trajectory of my life might look like. So you may run a risk by not just living your best self in life and what you feel called to if you don't be willing to break rules a little bit and just kind of go outside of the box, so to speak.
Absolutely. And I have 3 standards I live by,
Mm.
what I encourage everybody to live by. And in my personal belief that if anybody follows through on these standards for themselves, they will never live a day in hell in their life. That's one, you got to do your best. Doesn't mean you have to get top-notch results. You just
Yeah.
have to do your best.
So good.
Because naturally, if you do your best, you know you can be proud.
Mhm.
2, you keep your word to yourself and others. And 3, you always strive to grow and do more than what you promise.
It's so good. It's excellent. I love those 3.
So nothing else.
Yeah.
Your word is true, because talking about your authentic self and knowing who you are, if you're promising yourself to do something that's not in alignment with yourself, it's really not your word. It's somebody else's that you're speaking.
Yeah. It's so true.
So if you make the promises that are truly the promises you want to make, you do your best and you strive to grow in each moment, you're going to live life.
So good. I think it makes it simple too, because once you realize what's most important to you, then everything else just kind of seems like fluff, and like the value of it goes away completely because you're just focused on where you want to head and who you want to be, and it like simplifies the rest of your life. So everything else is not even a stressor because you just know it's not in line with who you're trying to become.
Absolutely. So bringing it back to the journey,
Yeah.
massage therapy, were you thinking through your journey, like, what did I do? Or were you excited the entire journey to where you are today
I
with
think
it?
when I walked into school, like I had those feelings of this was where I was supposed to be. So it actually has been like ever since I've become a massage therapist, it's been like perfect ever since. And I've had a very free spirit, and I don't love to stay in one place for too long. And my massage table is in the back of my car, and I get to go wherever and be able to help people wherever I go and just take my job with me. And so I realized like that was a really God-sent prompting that I had, because it was just in line with my soul. Like I got to go wherever I wanted to go and massage wherever I wanted to massage. And so I just never felt tied down or restricted just because of literally the career that I chose. So
Absolutely.
which was really, really freeing. And I love taking care of people, and I love that I get to do that wherever I go. So
Yeah, that's beautiful. I have more of a curious question.
yes.
Have you ever worried about your safety going into people's houses? And
Sometimes I think my mom and dad do, for sure. Sometimes I normally like make sure it's always like a friend referral or whatever. And so I kind of know some ties or whatever. It's very rarely been super random. But yeah, there's been a couple times where maybe it's like, oh, this is a little uncomfortable. But for the most part, it's like I just show up professional and tell them why I'm actually there. And there's no question as to any other room for anything else. So
that's fair.
yeah, so I've actually felt pretty good. I guess, lay down the law right at the beginning. So
You're a strong woman.
yeah,
And that's
try
important.
to be.
Well, we need that too, right? You're a strong woman, and you're setting examples for the other girls out there that choose to your career path, or even men that decide to be a massage therapist and travel around. Lay down the line.
Yep.
This is why I'm here. This is what we're going to do. And then I'm going to leave.
Yep. And it does help when it's like word of mouth. A lot of my clients are word of mouth. And so I always feel like there's that like connected space where it's safe too. So
absolutely. So we're talking a lot about how to be our authentic self, right? And the standards to set for yourself so that you can enjoy life fully. Was there ever a time that you questioned who you were?
Yeah, for sure. I think if I were to say like a pivotal moment, you had shared your moment before we had started this podcast, but I was teaching kids in China for 5 months through a program called ILP in 2017. And I was on the bus one day, and China is like a whole nother world. Just so hard to get around and communicate. And if you don't know Chinese, you just feel completely in the dark because you don't recognize characters or language, anything. And this girl was all by herself, and I could tell she was American, and she had a backpack. And so I sat by her and I asked her what she was doing. And she said that she was backpacking China for 6 weeks all by herself. And I just thought that was the most brave thing ever. I was so impressed by her. And she said, at some point in your life, you need to go to a place that you've never been and that you don't know anyone. And I promise it'll be the best thing that you've ever done. And you'll realize how capable of life you are. And so I had that in my brain for the longest time because it was a moment for me. Like, her advice was really pretty special. And then fast forward 4 or 5 years from that, I was dating this boy, and I loved him so much and just thought that he was the one, and it was just not reciprocated the same way. And I found myself doing things that I wouldn't normally have done, and that wasn't in line with what I really believe and who I'm wanting to become. And so I had a moment where I got to just say, like, are we doing this thing or are we not? And he just still was pretty hesitant. He just had his own timeline of growth, and his answer was like, I'm not ready yet. And so I packed up my car. I remembered that girl's advice, and I packed up my car and I drove across the country to Charleston, South Carolina, a place that I had never been and that I didn't know anyone. I followed through on that girl's advice. And I'm so excited to meet that girl in heaven one day and tell her thank you so much, because it was a game changer for me. And I realized how capable I was of my own life, and that I was the captain, and that I didn't need to wait for someone's love or approval or wait for someone to kind of fulfill what I really wanted in life, that I just got to create it and cultivate it myself. And so that was a moment for me that I realized, like, I wasn't as proud of who I was, but I realized, like, I'm going to literally put myself in the driver's seat, and I'm going to change the trajectory of where this is headed. And so I did. And that was a moment that has altered my whole rest of my life and will be for forever.
That's beautiful.
It's been really good.
So would you say you lost yourself before that relationship,
During.
or after?
Yeah, it was definitely during. Yeah.
So can you speak a little bit to that and what that felt like to you?
Yeah. And he's awesome and amazing, and I love him. And like, I remember there was a movie or a Netflix show, Tony Robbins. He said, I'm not your guru. We've seen it before, but he said, if you're going to blame someone for all the crap that happened in your life, then you need to blame them for all the good things that happened too, because you were with him and with that person. And so there's like a lot of good that came from that whole experience, as well as the hurt that was coupled with it. But I would say that just being able to really, like, the ways that I lost myself was probably different standards that I was living by. And then also just the self-worth thing, that like I maybe didn't love myself enough to be like, if someone didn't love me to show up fully, then why was I staying there any longer? And so really it was just like the lack of self-love that was probably occurring is what got me the most lost. And like, I would say that is what gets anyone lost, is just a lack of belief and a lack of love for yourself. And then if you don't have love and belief in yourself, then you can get in some pretty dark places. So that was probably where I got the most lost, so to speak, was just like thinking that I needed to save someone else and forget about myself too. And that was really good for me to go to South Carolina and just kind of gather all the eggs back in the basket and just realize that I was important enough to be able to be loved and to receive and give that love equally. So
Absolutely. I love that you speak to self-love, because that's where we got to start.
Yeah.
That's where we got to start in anything, is when we're truly strong ourselves. Naturally, we can have a strong relationship and influence the people around us. So you went to South Carolina.
Went to
Tell
South
us
Carolina.
about that
It was the
trip.
best thing ever. I don't know if you've ever been to Charleston, but it's right by the ocean, and there's so much history there, and the people there are so kind. Like, it is just like the sun is shining always, I swear, and the sunsets and sunrises are the best. And I just literally, I would take myself on dates all the time. Like, it'd be a Friday night and I just go take myself on a date. I just like dated myself for the whole time I was there, and just kind of got back in touch with everything that I love. And that made me feel me again, because I kind of lost a lot of parts of that. And so Charleston has got the most special spot in my heart and will forever, because of the way that I remember just crying so hard when I had to leave. Well, that I chose to leave. I missed my family in the mountains, so I came back. But I just remember leaving like, man, this place has done so much good for my heart. And I've visited a couple times since, and anytime that life gets hard, I'm like, I just want to go to Charleston, because it was so special to me. But it makes me teary-eyed even just thinking about it, because I'm so grateful for that place. And I made such good friends. Like, I have the bestest friends from there. And just the people were so awesome and so kind. Like, it was just such a good way to just clean slate. So
That's beautiful. How long were you there for?
I was only there for 8 months. So I was just there for the winter time, but it was enough to do some good, which was awesome.
I mean, a week can,
Yeah.
a moment can transform your life. 8 months can do a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of work, especially when you're just dedicated to that. And I always tell people, like, you don't have to go to a new place to like recultivate yourself, but you need to have a moment that you care enough about yourself that you care about the trajectory of which your life is going. And so it doesn't always take a dramatic get in the car, don't know where you're going and don't know anyone, but it does take a shift in your mind to realize you don't want to live the same way that you're living, because you want different results. So
Absolutely. I'm going to speak to that in a second, because I
Yeah.
have one more question for you on that trip.
Mm-hmm.
Was that trip just, what was the intention behind that? Was it to go heal yourself, so to find self-love? Was it just to, I'm going to go have some fun?
Yeah,
What was it?
I was going with an intent. Yeah, I would say that there were parts that I didn't recognize about myself and things that I was doing that I was like, I need to go kind of do a little self-check here and just like strip clean and just get back to who Mikesell Clegg is and the parts that she knows and loves, because it was getting to the point where there was some parts unrecognizable in myself, at least. So yeah, I went with the intent to heal and to get better and to grow. And I read a ton of books, and I ran on the beach every morning, and like, it was just kind of dreamy and heavenly in a lot of ways for me. So
You make me want to go down there.
you should. Everyone should go to Charleston.
I love that. Do you still run every morning?
I run a lot. Yeah, I love running, and I'm training for a half Ironman right now, which has been great on my 30th birthday. So I'm running, biking, and swimming a lot right now. But
Let's go. That's
yeah,
amazing.
I love running.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
A half Ironman. So Ironmans are swimming, biking, running.
Swim, bike, run. Yep. And the half is you swim 1.2 miles, bike 56.2, and then run 13.1 miles. So
Wow.
it's not as big as an Ironman, but it's
a
still a
big
goal.
step.
It's still a
Do you
training.
want to do an Ironman?
This is a tester to see if I do want to do an Ironman.
I say if you're gonna do it, you might as well do it.
Right now's the time. I'm running, biking, and swimming right now. So.
Absolutely. I think I could do the swimming. I don't think. I know I could do the. I said swimming. I know I could do the running and the biking. Not in my current state.
Yes,
if I trained.
That's great.
I don't know about the swimming.
Swimming, yeah, it's probably the most
miles.
intimidating part for most people, including myself. So that's understandable.
So where are you doing the half marathon?
It's in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, so northern Idaho, on the 30th birthday.
That's amazing. That's a good 30th birthday.
Yes, that's what I thought. Some people say that after 30, your body goes downhill, and I'm choosing to refuse to believe that. And, I'm only reversing the clock in my mind. So
going back to traditions,
yes.
Most people don't take care of their spirit, mind, and body.
Yes,
Mikesell.
we're breaking.
I think you'll be okay.
We're breaking the mold.
Absolutely, I see like 70 and 80-years that having like 6 packs, and
I
it's
know.
like
I
You're
know.
doing better than me right
Yeah,
now.
I would prefer to be on their side.
Absolutely. Well
Yeah.
said. So you transformed. Would you say you fully transformed in that 8 months, or was there still more work to be done when you came back home?
Yeah, I think there's always more work to be done because as heavenly as the like escape was, nothing had escaped when I came back. And so that boy was still there, the situation, the environment, all of that was the same. And so I had to, and it took a minute to like take what I had learned and how I had grown and changed and then apply it to the same environment that I just left. And so, yeah, I think healing is never linear and it's just always a process. But I had cultivated enough self-love that eventually I got there and made different decisions and had lived a little bit more full of love and hopefully get better and stronger every day too, even now. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So I want to I don't know the exact statistic, but it's something along the lines, and I'm going to relate it to drugs essentially.
Okay.
If somebody is addicted, whether it's alcohol, cocaine, weed, anything, if they go to a drug facility, I don't know what it's called.
A rehab center?
Rehab center. I don't know, 90% plus, 95% of plus people succeed getting off of drugs, fully healing themselves there. Then they come back. And I want to say it's over 90% of them end up going back on drugs. Because, right, as you know, as a coach, basic psychology, your triggers create your thoughts create your emotions create your behaviors create your results. Like you mentioned, you came back and all those triggers were the same. So how did you transform that cycle for yourself?
That's a good question. The definition of insanity is like doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that was kind of the point that I got to is I recognized like, okay, I'm not changing anything and you've got to do something different if you want a different result. And South Carolina was a great first step for me to change the repetition in my life, but it was just kind of having a moment and saying, I'm done. Like, I want a really good life and I love my life and I want to be able to give and receive that same kind of love that I know I'm capable of. Like, I love being a ray of sunshine in people's life. And the moment that it gets dimmed, like, then I need to alter something because I want to be that light to people. And so I think creating a super solid base in Charleston was wonderful for me because I was able to tap back into that pretty quickly. And I recognized very fast, like, what it did and didn't feel like. And so I think creating a foundation of just always showing up for yourself really made it easier to have different results. So you weren't doing things that were insane anymore. You were doing something different that produced something good. So
absolutely. It's the way I'm looking at it, and I guess I'll just kind of share my story in the reference to this is a good analogy.
Yes, of course.
So beginning of this year, I did a parasite cleanse. I'm a big believer in cleanses as a whole because you get crap stuck in your body and you got to get that out.
So much, yeah.
And that's what causes disease, and a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
So I did a parasite cleanse with a group of individuals, and it was 2 months. So I cut out all sugar, all alcohol, all wheat, and all grain.
So good. It's awesome.
I thought I was good looking when I didn't do this cleanse. And now 3 months later, I'm not doing the cleanse anymore, but still have been following the diet. I've lost about 25 pounds.
Wow.
I'm just like, whoa. So it's, again, it goes back to you're in this insanity of like, oh, I'm healthy. And you're really not. But when you took yourself out of that, you recognize like, man, look how beautiful I really am. And I don't want to go back to that.
Yeah. I think that's one cool thing is when you do realize, like when you're placed in an environment or you go through that cleanse or whatever the situation may be, like once you get a taste of true health and true love and like pure things, you know, that's just where you're like, I know what it's like to be healthy. I know what it's like to feel good about my body and feel good about myself, have good relationships. It's really not too desirable to go back because you get a taste of what actual, like just simple, pure happiness, good, what life was probably intended to look like. you just don't have that appetite like you did before, like it's just temptations are there and environments and stuff. But if you truly got a taste of what real health and what love, all those good things actually feel like, then you quickly recognize, like in the sense of an appetite, like what tastes wrong and what tastes bad. And you want to go to something that serves you and that makes you feel better.
Exactly.
So.
And that was South Carolina was your cleanse.
Yep. South Carolina was my cleanse.
And you figured out how to heal.
Yeah.
So you went from inauthenticity, both spiritually, mentally, physically, I would assume, and in life in general, going to South Carolina, cleansing yourself, figuring out to heal when you got back. Talk us through, like, I'm just imagining one of these guests listening in, and I see a couple of individuals. Either one, they genuinely are lost, whether that's with themselves or with life. They don't know where to go. Two, maybe they're in a relationship. They feel lost. They feel stuck. They're living out of an inauthentic life. Or maybe there's a third one. They just got out of a relationship, or they left a 9-to-5 job. They just left a certain place of their life that didn't feel right. But there's also somewhat of a temptation of going back because they don't know how to go forward. What are the steps that you would recommend to those individuals? And they might be different, and if so, that's okay, so that they can start to heal themselves and find that self-love.
I think some grace is probably always good, because we're just imperfect people trying to figure it all out. And like, we don't know what we don't know, and we're just learning and growing. And so there's going to be slip ups and moments where you're not as proud, that like, oh man, I know I should do better. So just grace in general, I think, is always so good. Like, just recognizing that for me, like, I truly believe there's a higher power out there that sees you and your heart and what your intentions are. And most of us are all really, really good. And so just like tying back into him, knowing that he knows that you're trying and that there's good intentions, and just to give yourself grace is always important. And then I think just like reflection time and time to pause has been really important for me, because this life is so busy and you can get moving, and that's deemed as successful, is just to like do every hour you have something for the day. But like just going on a hike, go sitting by the river, just going and breathing, just listening to pretty soft music, like just giving yourself an opportunity to reflect, of just taking a moment and reevaluating where you're at, just checking in is probably really vital, because if we don't ever stop, then we'll just keep going and we keep spinning in circles, and our progress probably isn't as fast. So I would also recommend just time to pause. So grace, time to pause and reevaluate. And then also just not being afraid to push yourself. Like, don't be afraid of hard things. Don't be afraid of things that don't feel natural to you. Just believe in yourself enough to know that, like, this isn't normal, but maybe that's good. And I'm just going to grind it out and go push myself. I think there's no way we're going to grow if we don't get outside of our comfort zone. And so just being patient with yourself if you mess up, but just don't ever let yourself settle and be in that comfort zone again, because then you're stagnant, and then you're not living your best and full and authentic life. And just like we kind of talked about at the beginning, you will run the risk of not being able to find out who you really are. So probably somewhere all coupled in there, being able to be graceful with yourself, pause, and then just go after it is a perfect mix to be able to grow.
That's fair. So what I hear with that, and correct me if I'm wrong, of course, give yourself grace. It's okay. We're all human.
Yeah.
Like, I let my body slip. That's okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
Give yourself grace. 2, quiet time. Is that the terminology
quiet
that
time.
is?
Yeah.
What I hear with that is meditate. Get out in nature. Go on a little hike. Journal.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to actually hear yourself.
Yeah. And tap into something bigger than yourself too, because we're just small, imperfect people.
Well, we were not alive for a really long time, and we're going to be dead for a really long time. We have a blip of what time really looks like. In some aspects, life feels really long, but grad reality, life is really short. And third is take action.
Yeah.
Is what I hear.
Yeah.
Is go after what you really want.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. If you give yourself grace, you give yourself quiet time and you heal the internal dialogue. And I agree. Tap into a higher power. I call it God.
Yeah.
You may call it universe, whatever it is, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And take action that's powerful. And I think this ties back to the standards that I was talking to.
Yeah.
1, keep your word to yourself and others. Do your best and grow.
Mm-hmm.
If you just do that
Yeah.
along with what you stayed,
Yeah.
life will be beautiful.
I think sometimes we overcomplicate just life in general. You know, just get like 1% better each day. And if you got 1% better that day, then you did pretty good.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a post the other day. I talked about wisdom and experience. I was talking to an older lady that was struggling with life. And her mindset was, well, you're young. I have so much more experience than you. And so obviously I didn't call out who it was in the post, but wisdom and experience doesn't come from the time that you are here.
So true.
It comes from the act of reflecting.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you say get 1% better every day, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And that comes down to your reflecting each day, which will allow you to become wise to be a 1% better the next day.
Yeah.
And reflecting, in my sense, is what did I do good today?
Mm-hmm.
And where could I have grown?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, do more of the good and transform
Yeah.
your growth and implement it immediately.
Yeah.
After a year, you'll be unrecognizable.
Mm-hmm. I think like being hungry for life is also so important. Like just if you get to the end of the day, where can I do better? Where like can I grow? What are some areas you want to improve on? Like don't put any shame on anything that you lacked that day or anything that you didn't do as good. Just like the next day, go be hungry for just 1% better. And that's all we're really ever asked to do. I feel like we all hopefully have a general understanding that we're all human and imperfect. But if we're just trying and like hungry for life and have a zest for it, that like there's lots of good out there. There's a lot of good people and there's a lot of good adventures and places we can grow. Just like go after being hungry to thrive in life as opposed to coming from a place of shame or like, man, I lack something, because we all lack lots of things. But if we're just hungry and go after life, I think that changes the perspective of just being able to be grateful for where you are right now and realizing you're so excited for all the other places you get to go.
Absolutely. And I think this is funny because it's really all tying together.
Mm-hmm.
If every day you give yourself grace, like you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
you're human, that's all right.
Yep.
And you give yourself quiet time,
Mm-hmm.
reflect on your day, pray to a God, and then 3, take action the next day on what you just reflected upon.
Yeah.
Life's going to be great.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
Yeah, it is.
And that's I personally read 1 to 2 books a month.
So good.
Is that right for everybody? I think it's good for everybody.
Yes.
But the right is a question mark to
Yeah.
me. I like reading. Maybe somebody likes listening to podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe somebody likes to go to conferences.
Mm-hmm.
We all learn different.
Yeah.
We all are different, and that's
Yeah.
okay. And that's where I would say a lot of growth doesn't take place, because it's like you go on TikTok, you go on YouTube, and you almost feel like you need to do everything.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, me reading a page a day wasn't enough. No, it was enough.
Totally. It's way better than not reading a page at all.
So I'd love to talk about that. Well,
Yeah.
in your journey of healing, did you ever find overwhelm in all of the resources out there? Or how did you go about finding what resources served me in my healing journey?
Yeah, I think it's always good to just be self-aware and check in. Like, does this feel good to me? And because like you said, everyone learns differently. And so it might be meditation, some might be prayer, some might be hiking, some might be reading 1 to 2 books a month, and others might be conferences. Like, just go after and try and experiment what makes sense to you, because everyone listens and hears differently. But if you just keep trying and find your niche, then that's what works for you, and then just go for it and go with it. And then all of a sudden you find yourself clicking along pretty good. So just being brave enough to try what works for you is probably going to be what helps you in your growth process as much as possible.
Going on a journey.
That's
all it takes, right?
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot, if anybody followed this process, they could serve it, because it's all unique to the individual.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself grace. Okay, we all need grace, but quiet time can look different. So my question to you is, you work with teenagers and early people in their
early 20s. Yep.
early 20s. Did
Yeah,
I say
20s.
early teens?
Yeah, no, teens and 20s.
Early teens and 20s. If there was one continual, I'm going to pause and backtrack here. If there was a couple of certain aspects, do you see certain trends for these individuals of what they do struggle with?
Yeah, the comparison game sure will get anyone faster than anything. And with social media, like they're comparing to what they see on social media and their friends and what they think is just better and that never obtainable. But I think comparison is probably what's depriving a lot of joy right now, is just thinking that they got to be somewhere at a certain time when they're not. And if they were a little more graceful and just tapped into themselves and allowed space and time to be able to do its thing and speak and be able to figure out like how they best function, then I think they wouldn't compare themselves and they'd realize like I've got something to offer and it's just going to look different than like my friend or someone on social media. My mom always used to say that we're all a color in the crayon box and you might be yellow, so you just make sure to be the best and brightest yellow crayon, but don't ever compare yourself to a purple because that doesn't even make sense. Like you're yellow, they're a purple, you're going to be different. And so she just always emphasized being the best and brightest color, whatever color you chose in the box.
I love that.
Which I always
Go
loved
Mom.
too. I know, she's the best. She really is the best.
Was your childhood fairly easy?
I mean, obviously there's always little things, but I'm super fortunate that my mom and dad are my favorite humans in the world and my siblings are my best friends. So, I mean, we're not perfect family like everyone, but we definitely, I feel like there's love there, which is all you really need. So I'm
How many
grateful for
siblings
that.
do you have?
5 siblings.
Oh, wow.
I'm the oldest girl and there's 4 boys and 2 girls. So
okay, and where do you fall in
I'm
mine?
the second oldest.
Second oldest. You got a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, as a mini mom for sure.
At least they messed up on the first one. Just kidding.
No, he's pretty well.
That's awesome. No, I'm a middle child, so I can make that joke.
Yeah.
I got all the beating up though. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say you had a different role to play.
I'm definitely still the trouble child.
It's good. We like,
It makes the other
color
ones look
outside
good,
the
right?
lines. It's great.
I'm the black crayon and I'll own it. Just kidding. That's fun. So the comparison game, social media. The thought that came to mind is there's a often quote of show me your calendar and I'll show you your life in 6 months or 5 years. Thought that came to mind is show me your social media and I'll show you your life in 6 months.
That's probably pretty accurate.
Because you're right. If somebody's just following their friends and all the celebrities and the people that have the cars and the money and the lifestyle that they want, I feel naturally you're looking at that every day. You are going to fall in the comparison game.
Yeah.
But almost if we could train young individuals to say, hey, who do you want to be and what do you want to do in life? And they figure that out at a young age. It's like, hey, I'm not going to ask you to be off social media because let's be real.
Yeah. And it's like social media isn't bad. It's like it's what you make it for sure. And like how much discipline and all those things, like it can be a wonderful source in a lot of ways too. But
yes.
How you use everything, it's like everything can be but good or bad. So
like it's almost, you ask a teenager nowadays to get off social media, it's like a jail
asking them not to breathe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's get them to intentionally follow. Like, do you want to be healthy? Great. Let's go have you follow some people that have been a master in that area. You want to run an Ironman? Let's go have you go follow a couple of people that have done that.
Yeah.
You want to get in the military? Let's have you go follow that. So that subconsciously each day, even if they're unaware of it, they're getting those small hits every day and they're actually moving their life in the right trajectory over following the people that they feel like they'll never live up to.
I always feel like putting a time limit on social media too is always really good because time can go really, really fast if you just let yourself scroll. But and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I haven't done anything the last hour. And then you kind of go down this little like thought stacking, like I wasted my time, I'm not worth it, like all these things can happen when you aren't as like proactive about your life. But if you just kind of give yourself some self-discipline and create some good habits, then all of a sudden, like that 10 or 15 minutes on social media, it was okay. You got to check in with your friends. Maybe you heard something good that inspired you, and then like turning it off and going and doing something with your own life. A friend he always told me this, and I always loved it, but he said, do something postable every day, but don't post every day. And so meaning like go after your life and go do something exciting and thriving, but like you don't need to share it with the world every single day, and you don't need to like check in with other people on social media like every day too. Just like go make the most of your time and just go thrive. So
Absolutely. And as you say that, I agree. But begin to share that story too.
yeah.
Because for the teenager out there that, let's just say, starts to follow the right accounts, I want to write a book, starts to follow authors and so on and so forth. That teenager at 16, 17 making that decision then at 24 has a possibility to be living their life the way they want.
Yeah.
If that 24-year-old shares that story, that journey, the hardships, the really, really deep thoughts, and the really, really happy thoughts, everything will naturally impact the next generation to come.
Yes. Yeah.
And his peers
Yeah.
of 24-year-olds that didn't do that, so that they can be living their life at 30, because you're still really young at 30.
Yeah.
I mean, you're living this.
That's right. Still really young.
But it's also interesting going from, I'm sure, not quite there yet, 20 to recognizing that you're not going to be 20 anymore.
Yeah.
What does that feel like?
Just the age change, or the
going from 29 to 30 soon, knowing that you're not a 20-year-old.
I think it's gonna be awesome. I think like there's a lot of things that you learn in your 20s. Like you're learning and growing so much in your teens and 20s, and making a lot of important life decisions about yourself. And so I've been blessed because I've been single, that I've traveled a lot and had a lot of experiences, been able to do a lot of really cool things. And now I just get to take all those life lessons, and I'm still young, and I get to go into my 30s. So a lot of times people are sad turning 30, but I'm stoked and I'm excited for it, and I think it's going to be wonderful. So
Self-perspective, right?
Yeah, totally.
My thought process is in your 20s, it's meant for you to go on your journey of figuring out who you are and what you want to be.
Yeah.
30 is taking out what you figured out
Yep.
and building upon
Yeah.
it. And your 40s are naturally just to keep compounding what you built in your 30s.
Keep growing. Yeah, you don't ever want to stay stagnant no matter what age you turn.
No, unfortunately, not everybody wants to do it, but most people do.
Yeah. You definitely, it's not natural, but that's the whole point of life, is you kind of got to switch what is natural and like not growing in the comfort zone. So just make it a little uncomfortable, do yourself a favor and do something uncomfortable, and that scares you a little bit every single day. One of my favorite quotes in We Bought a Zoo, the movie, they say, just have 20 seconds of insane courage, and I promise good things will come. And so sometimes you have to you get to 19 and you got to restart because 20 seconds wasn't enough. But just have 20 seconds of insane courage and just do something that you wouldn't normally do. Just try something new, be brave, because just like that promise, I promise good things will come. So
absolutely, I love that, and I love that movie too.
I love that movie. It's awesome.
I haven't seen that forever. Maybe I'll watch that tonight.
Good idea.
I agree. So coming back to comfort zone, it's easy to go back. So how do you stay outside of your comfort zone?
I do think that quiet time is powerful if you make it powerful, because if you're always having that quiet time to reflect and tap into something higher than you, then it's rare that you can let those slip by too much, because you're always checking in with someone who's more divine than you. And so I just think quiet time and connecting to that higher power, universe, God, will do a lot of wonders. Because if you keep going and in your regular cycle and habits, then you won't change and grow. But if you just take a moment, 10, 15 minutes a day to be self-reflective, then chances of you doing something different that day and probably showing up in a better way are going to be a lot higher.
That's amazing. I love that. And to bring it back is really the difference of moving forward or moving back really does come down to your thoughts and your emotions.
Yeah, totally.
And naturally, if you make it a daily practice, in my belief, morning and night, to pray, to work on yourself, to give yourself quiet time, naturally your energy, your thoughts, your emotions are going to be higher.
Yeah.
Which naturally gives you permission to be outside your comfort zone.
Yeah. It's like when you're looking for a certain type of car and all you see on the road is that type of car that you're looking for. And it's because your brain is smart, like subconsciously, you're going to figure it all out. You're going to find that car and that's all you see for however long you're looking for that car. And it's the same way about your mind. Like if you set yourself up that it's going to be a good day, that I have all the energy that I need to, I'm going to grow and learn. And, just like you set yourself up truly for success, your brain's going to look for that. And it will do the opposite if you tell yourself the opposite. Like I'm not worthy of anything. I'm not healthy, all these negative things. I don't even say them really because I believe the power of words is so powerful, but just the things that you speak and that you think about, like your greatest happiness and success or stress is based upon the most repeated thought that you have in your mind. And so if you just train your brain well enough to show up fully, then you're probably going to have a happier, less stressful life. Because you've trained it to do that. So you're in control. You're the captain.
And a very fine metric to follow is money. And usually you can tell why somebody's poor when you talk to them. And you can tell why somebody's rich by talking to them too.
They talk differently.
And it's a very clear difference.
Yeah, no, it's crazy actually.
And that's to life.
Yeah.
You usually can tell whether, even if you never saw them, if you pick up the phone and you talk to an obese person, usually can tell. If you talk to somebody that's healthy and fit, usually can tell.
Yeah, it's crazy how they're like healthy people. They always tend to be more grateful. They see the positive, and then the opposite with the opposite. But it's not a coincidence. Like there is a direct correlation for sure. Sometimes when people come in for a massage, they'll say, I have chronic back pain, meaning like it's never going to go away. And sometimes I just want to say like, yeah, it will be chronic. One day I'm going to be brave enough to actually say it. But like if they believe that it's never going to get better, then they're right. And just being able to be open-minded that you're in control of your body and your mind and you're the captain, and that there is better out there if you just first think it and say it, then your life's going to look a lot different. But I always tell them, one day I'm going to be brave and say, like, you got to change your words and your thoughts before any of that back pain is going to be not chronic anymore.
Absolutely. The story, and I'm just barely going down. Fun fact, this last year, I just started to learn about Jesus and different religions and really dove deep.
It's awesome.
And I'm going to say this wrong, and you might be able to correct me. And if I'm saying this wrong, please correct me. It's a story in the Bible where there's somebody that has broken legs, and the legs haven't worked for years and years and years. And Jesus essentially came over to heal him. And Jesus essentially said, well, why don't you just get out of your bed? It's like, making your bed. Get out of it.
Yeah, go for it.
And
so true.
That could be wrong. Maybe it's not even a story in the Bible.
I think it's so important. Like, I don't know if you've read the book. It's called The Placebo Effect. But at the beginning of the book, this guy, I think he got in a car accident or motorcycle accident, and the doctors told him, like, you're going to be never, like, paraplegic, you're never going to be able to walk again. And I think he was in the hospital for 4 months, and every single day he just went through every organ, every muscle, every fiber of his body and commanded it to be whole, and that it was going to heal and get better and function and walk one day. And he just went from head to toe every day, just like reinforcing. And he's written the book. He walks. I think he ran a marathon in the book. Like he's kind of defied even what the doctors had told him. But the power of your mind and what you choose to tell it will be the outcome of what your life looks like. And it's really that simple.
It is that simple. Thoughts are powerful.
So powerful.
It's the quantum theory.
Yes. It sounds like you're you've got a hold of that. What helps you the most be able to, as far as your mindset, what are your tips and tricks?
Sorry, say that one
Oh,
more
you're fine.
time.
You're fine. What would you say like your tips and tricks are? I'm just curious. I want to know what for your mindset and what helps you.
So my simple belief is that transformation is a moment. It doesn't have to take time. And I fundamentally believe that anybody can live a transformative life, which means they're consistently transforming if they live up to 7 steps. Step 1 is awareness. Awareness is either what sets us free or holds us hostage in life. Because if you're poor, you know you're poor. But if you're choosing to be aware of it and stay there, you're holding yourself a hostage.
Yeah.
But you also can be the person that says, I'm poor and I'm going to change. Identity. You always become you always achieve who you become. It's your identity. Just reflecting it back to individuals and money. If you believe you're a poor person, you're going to be poor.
Yeah.
Kind of like we talked about chronic pain.
Yeah.
And if you believe that you're rich, you will become rich. Does that mean you're rich today? No. It doesn't mean it's a forever thing. Spirit, mind, body. If you're not healthy, spirit, mind, body, you're naturally not going to transform anything. You're going to stay the same and you're going to get worse. Vision. If you don't know where you're going, you'll never get there.
Yeah.
Purpose. If you don't have purpose, you're not going to want to wake up in the morning. Action. Nothing's going to change without action.
Yeah.
And impact. If you don't have a desire to impact either the person in front of you, the world, your community, what's the point?
Yeah. So good. That's awesome.
And that's what I follow, that 7 steps I follow with individuals. I follow with myself every day. My quiet time every day is my awareness. How am I myself? How's my spirit? How's my mind? How's my body? How's my vision coming? How's my purpose? How did I take action? And did I make an impact?
So good. That's awesome.
Naturally, I just keep doing that every day.
That's
And
incredible
keeps
advice.
getting better.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, 1% better.
It's the simple thing. It's not that complicated. I put that 7 steps into business. Everything I do, that's literally my identity. And I speak it to everybody because it's changed my life. And I know it can for others.
That's so awesome. I think about God too, and like how he created the world was he first thought it, and then he said it / commanded it, and then he did it. And like that simple process is exactly how we can create our own world too. Like we have to think it, say it, and then do it. And just like that simple, just making sure you surround yourself with what you're trying to create.
And to add to that note, there's oftentimes people don't feel like they're worthy. But the most beautiful thing in the world is that your body is a direct correlation to God because he created you. The reason you're here is because he let it happen. If he didn't want you here, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah, totally.
It's just the truth. He didn't need to let your mom and dad or meet. Like he didn't need to let that happen.
Yeah, he's probably capable of anything.
Car crash. Just kidding.
He's powerful in all ways.
The point being is, if you take care of your spirit, mind, and body, and you take action and you choose to become aware and consistently transform your life. Yes, I do believe in praying and meditating and listening to God. Although if there's somebody listening to this and they don't, if you just start to become aware and treat yourself kindly, that's naturally saying, thank you, God. Thank you for this life. I'm going to do the best I can in this life. And honestly, if somebody's doing that, naturally they're going to connect with God at some point.
They're going to realize there is probably something bigger and more divine out there that's the reason why you're here.
But if you just start there, it's a thank you. And God appreciates that. And naturally you're going to start to find blessings in your life.
And if you even just think about like if they didn't believe in God or have a source of higher power, then most people have a lot of good in them and they genuinely and like generally try to treat others kindly. And so why would they like exempt themselves? And so if you just need to start with like, I believe in being kind to others and realizing that you're also another human being in that mix, then just be kind to yourself. And like you said, it probably is going to be a pretty natural process of figuring out that your worth is it's sturdy. It's not going anywhere. Like your worth is there and strong always.
Absolutely. I could talk to you all day.
Yeah.
Honestly, this has
Me
been
too. It's
such an
been so
amazing
good. Thank you,
podcast.
Braiden, for having me.
Thank you for being vulnerable as well, as it gives everybody
Yes.
else the permission to do the
Yeah.
same. So if you had one last piece of advice to offer everybody listening to this today, what would it be?
It's always the $1 million question. I would say I actually would go back to gratitude and recognizing that the things that are happening in your life are actually for you. They're not against you. And if you recognize that they're for you and you just are grateful for them and you recognize it as an experience and an opportunity to grow, then life lets up a little bit. You realize that the experiences were actually a gift from God. He wanted you to be better and he didn't want you to stay in a stagnant spot. And so if you can turn your experiences and just be grateful for them and recognize that this was for a higher purpose and you're just supposed to take what you went through, as hard as it was, and just create something better and cultivate something better and be grateful for that experience, then I think that will be exactly the life that we were meant to live, that Heavenly Father wanted us to live. And that, like, those experiences are for us to be able to grow. He knows that we take pleasure in feeling like a better person every single day. And so he gives us all these opportunities to be able to see if we're going to take them. And so if we can just take those opportunities, be grateful for them, and recognize that they're just lessons to be learned, then things don't seem as heavy and as hard because we recognize there's a plan and a purpose in the first place.
Absolutely well said. And if there was, what is your definition of living an authentic life?
I think just being brave, just being brave enough to just live your best life, whatever that looks like. Just be brave and just go for it. Just have your 20 seconds of insane courage, because a lot of good comes from 20 seconds. Like when I was getting in the car to drive to South Carolina, I've never cried so hard getting on a freeway. I was leaving the boy that I thought I was going to marry and my family and my friends, everything comfortable. But I just chose to have 20 seconds of insane courage. And so on the other side of that bravery or that courage was me, was actually my authentic self. And so just to have 20 seconds of insane courage and be brave, then you'll probably find something really good on the other side of that courage.
Absolutely. And to everybody listening, I would encourage you to ask this question. What is the 20 seconds of insane courage that I need to take right now? I would encourage anybody listening to go do that today.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Braiden. It was awesome.
Absolutely. Is there anything that my audience and myself can do to serve you?
I honestly just keep listening and supporting you. You're doing so many wonderful things. And obviously I do coaching for teens and 20s. And so if I feel authentic to someone and that they feel like I can help them, then of course I would love to help them. Or if their back's hurting or anything, then I would love to help people in any way possible. But I think the best gift that anyone, if they were listening to this, was just to go live their authentic life and do something that scares them a little bit. And I think that will make my heart pretty happy. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. We'll drop all your details below so that when somebody takes those 20 seconds, they can let you know.
Okay.
Thank you so much again.
You're welcome. Thank you, Braiden.
Thank you again for listening into the Journey to Authenticity podcast. The podcast helping you to become fully authentic on your journey to success. If you liked what you heard from Mikesell and I today, go ahead and subscribe and leave a review. This helps me to get the most qualified, most interesting guests on the podcast to help you build your authentic life. Now, while I have you, I want to bring your attention to my one-on-one coaching. If you're 18 and you're genuinely serious about diving deep and truly become the person that you want to be and building the life that you want to live, go ahead and go to the link below or go to my website, braidenbelknap.com, and let's see what magic we can make for you.